Banana slam jam.
Hey guys, this video is I'm not really sure what it's going to be, but what's happening is clear. I've hit my lowest MMR that I've been in about 4 years. I have officially had the first number in my MMR starting with a 7. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I don't really feel like I've gotten worse. And then you say, BSJ, are you just delusional? Or, isn't that what MMR literally means? And the issue is I think there's too many things outside of a Dota game that are making me mess up. And what I mean by outside of the Dota game is I just mean external factors. I think we all struggle with the ability to keep a level head and focus on the things that need to be done in a Dota game. Maybe not all as equal as others, but the more you can relate to that I'm going to talk to you about here, probably the more you'll get out of this video. But maybe not the best sign for you if you can relate. So this is going to be day 1 or day 0 of this video. My plan is to play pubs off stream with no mic for a week or 2. Kind of depending on however long I think it takes to get some tangible results. My issues is that I feel like concerns about other people, what they think. I'd say mainly my viewers, and then by no means is that my viewers' fault. I think what's happening is that rather than holding myself accountable, I'm letting myself feel judged by those around me. So whenever I mess up or something goes wrong in the game, I have a tendency rather than to ask myself, what did I do wrong? Or could I have done anything better there? Instead, I get defensive. I try to justify myself. I try to alleviate myself from blame. And that's something I've been working on for a long time. And recently, I think it's come up more than it should have, because I feel like I've kind of relapsed back to, I wouldn't even say blaming others, but being unable to focus on what I'm doing wrong. It's like acknowledging that if I lose 800 MMR in 2 weeks, there's variance. I think we all know this. It's a team game with solo MMR. But at some point, you have to know it yourself. I mean, that's for all of us. I hope you out there are willing to admit that when you lose a lot of MMR, that you are the common factor. And here I am admitting that I am the common factor. So this is kind of an experiment of sorts to see how much exactly this is affecting me. It could just not affect me at all. I could just be wrong about what's actually going wrong. It's totally a possibility. This is kind of just a scientific method. Hypothesis is that I am letting outside factors weigh too heavily on my decision making during Dota games. Thus, I am losing a lot of MMR. And so what I'm going to do, moving on from this intro, is that I am going to play games off stream. I'm going to every 3 to 5 games, somewhere like that. I'm going to check back in with you guys. You're going to see it quite shortly. But what I'm going to do is a brief recollection of how I felt about those games. Right now, I've told you I kind of feel like I'm just tilting way too much. I think my mic usage is not good. I don't think I'm raging at people, right? I'm not saying you're so bad, what the fuck? But the way I'm conveying my message, what I want to do in the game, what objective I want to take, what I want from them, I think is passive aggressive and overall detrimental to my chances of winning. So my goal is to kind of stay up to date as we go along, and it's almost going to be like a documentary of sorts to see my process and how I think throughout the course of this experiment. So bear with me, guys, and you'll see me in just a second, a few games from now, and how this is going. So first check-in, I've played 4 games so far. I've won 3 of them. Nothing special. I wanted to start off by first having a regiment of sorts. I think it's pretty pathetic that I have this plan for my coaching students and how I think it's best for them to get better, and I definitely don't adhere to that plan myself. So what I've done is I said I'm going to try to pick carry every single game. If I don't play carry, I'll play the same hero on whatever role I'm playing. Ideally, it's going to be a flex hero, so I'll just spam Death Prophet in any role. First pick if I can. Otherwise, I'll have to figure it out if it's banned. But mainly I'm playing carry, and I'm spamming the first 2 broken heroes of the patch that I think I'm not the best at. I've played a lot of Huskar in the past, but I haven't played a ton of Huskar in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm definitely rusty on the hero. Don't really fully understand understand his limits. I know the builds and stuff, but I definitely need to spam him. I want to be confident on these heroes. They're the best heroes in the game. That means you have more wiggle room. And I also want to be able to play the best heroes to the best of my capabilities. So my first pick I want to pick almost every game if possible is Huskar. If Huskar is banned, I want to go TA. Also a hero I think is very strong in the carry role this patch. And if those are banned, I'm kind of just stuck picking whatever I think is good for the game. So far I've played 4 games. Like I said, I won 3. 2 of them were Huskar games. One was a TA game and the other was a Slark game. I'm definitely messing up. I'm not like amazingly happy with how I'm playing, but none of the mess ups are just stupid shit. I feel like I'm definitely thinking about the game more. I feel like I'm definitely in touch with like what's happening in the game, like what the crucial objective is, that kind of thing. It could just be coincidence. I've had a couple games where where my teammates were really good, like in terms of just manners and coordination. But I also had in my TA game, I looked at the enemy draft and they had last picked Batrider, and it was the perfect Batrider game, and I knew we were gonna struggle. And both my other lanes lost really hard, and I feel like when I'm on stream, I'm prone to like having that happen and talking about how free of a Batrider game it is and feeling demoralized that it's going to be such a hard game. But I definitely didn't do that here. And that's what I've been striving for recently, the last like year or two, is not having that defeatist mentality in a game that I know is going to be hard. More so like welcoming the challenge and making sure that I try to think of some best way that I have to win the game. And oddly enough, I went a weird TA build, Dragonlance, Manta, Daedalus against Tree, Batrider, and Anti-Mage. It worked out pretty well, and we actually came back. The enemy team threw a little bit because they tried to go on me with Lasso. I would Manta right as he blinked on me, and it actually resulted in some turn fights. So I was really happy. That was like the plan I had with the item. Sadly, we had like a few mishaps that led to the enemy team getting the second Roche, which made the game really difficult, and we ended up losing. But overall, it's like stuff like that where on stream, I feel like I would just go the same build. I would just go like Blink Deso and a Dragonlance, BKB, and it definitely wasn't good that game. So overall, that's my first 4 games so far. Okay, guys, I've officially played 10 games since I decided to go off stream. We were 6-2, and as you can see, looking at my game history, I'm now 6-4. The reason why I'm making it at this breaking point is because my Slaughter game was definitely the first game that I got really tilted. And so, first and foremost, that tells me that it's more than just worrying about viewers and being on stream and being a streamer. That definitely means a lot to me, to know that much. Even if I'm less likely to get tilted when I'm off stream, that I definitely did get tilted. And I'm a firm believer that tilt doesn't happen in one game. Like, I'm a firm believer that it's like virtually impossible to go into a game feeling really good. Like, you're just having a really good day, you're really happy, you're in the zone, and in the midst of one game just completely tilting. And so that's going to make me backtrack. And so I'm going to show you guys the Bristleback game, just show you the scoreboard.
Hey guys.
So the Bristleback game was actually a carry game. And the reason why I'm going to this game is because it was the game before my Slardar game. And in this game, I had a 5-position Clinks. And we rolled for carry. He's a carry player. And he first picked 5-position Clinks once he lost the roll. And the guy proceeded to just not play the game, basically. And the reason why I'm talking about this game is not to bitch about this Clinks, but there's a history for me with similarly ranked carry players, or lower ranked. Generally, I don't have a problem if the guy is way higher ranked than me, where either I give them carry, and they let me down somehow, or I get carry, and then they just don't play any other roles. So they just, end up not being a hero on the team.
It is going to be a very good one. We've got a matchup.
I don't really know what to do in this situation for myself, but I know it's a stress-causing situation. Because after this game, I actually think I played pretty well in this game. This loss, it was tough for me to take much responsibility. I had to pick Bristle, I thought, because it was an off-lane Broodmother, and I had last pick. And I didn't really know what else to pick with a 5-position Clinks. I didn't have to pick Bristle, but maybe the only other option was Gyrocopter. faster, but it would have been tough because we had no saves against a bunch of stuns. But what
But
happens is I go into this next game, right? And I queued pretty quickly after that bristleback game. And in my head, I queued because I wanted to, like, you know, prove them wrong, you know, like, fuck, that last game was a fluke. I've been owning. I was 6-2 in my first 8 games, and it's, you know, my teammates kind of made that last one unwinnable, but, like, let's freaking go, you know? And instead, I go into this Slardar game, and, I mean, it was kind of a similar story. My team and I were just on different pages. It was a pretty... I had 10th pick again, and it was a completely free anti-mage game. We had no hero to kill anti-mage or deal with anti-mage. What I did learn something this game, though, is that in almost every pub, you have a feeling that the game isn't going according to plan. And what I learned in this game is that if the game's not going according to plan, whether you feel like your teammates are letting you down, maybe your draft's not very good, maybe there were just some slip-ups, maybe from yourself or whatever, that having an option to farm or building items that make you strong enough to farm seems like the first and foremost most important thing in Dota, especially right now. So like what happened was, it felt like we couldn't do anything because I was the only one that could really kill the anti-mage. And so I wanted to farm, but I didn't have a BKB until, you know, 27 minutes into the game. And against heroes like Earth Spirit and Lina and Coddle, I can't farm creep waves. Like if I'm on the creep wave, I'll just get stunned into controlled and die. So what I realized was, when the game early wasn't going according to plan, is I should have just gone Midas BKB. Midas would have made me scale, BKB would have made me strong in fights if they did happen, and it also would have allowed me to farm creep waves because if they ganked me with 3 or 4 heroes, I at least wouldn't die. And I've noticed that if I build an item that allows me to farm, it's generally a good fighting item too, because most farming items are ones that keep you alive, right? And if it keeps you alive while you're farming, it most likely will benefit you in team fights. So I realized in this game that after I had these items and my team wasn't really doing anything on the map, I didn't like my Bat-Riders build, all that kind of stuff, I just couldn't do anything. And that made me tilt even more. And it was because I didn't really have a plan this game. I kind of went into this game with my head down, you know, chip on my shoulder, ready to prove a point. And I think that's the issue, is that previous game did that to me. And I allowed it to affect me carrying into this game. Because, like, I think this Bristleback game, it's going to happen, you know? Your teammates pick useless 5 heroes and then literally don't support. That happens. And sometimes you can still win, sometimes you lose. But, like, I allowed this game, and I allowed the clinks on my previous team to affect me so drastically that I then proceed to lose this game. Would I have won this game if I had that other build? Maybe not, but I definitely griefed this game. Like, I made this game, like, my team made the game hard, and I made it even harder. And this is the kind of game, I think, that all of us have to avoid if we're going to gain MMR, or if we're going to, like, be disciplined. I was very disappointed in myself for this game, and I think it was important that I stopped after this streak to talk to you guys about how, like, I was feeling myself. Even in the jug game I lost, I thought I played really well. So it's just like one of those things where as long as I feel like I'm playing well, I feel good about myself. But this Slardar game, I did not feel good about myself at all. And up until that point, I was 6-3. So yeah, I felt like I played pretty well every game, won 66% of them, and then I just gave away a freebie. And that's what we have to avoid. So that's my check-in for now. That's my first 10 games off stream. The 2 Ember games are party queue. Checking in again for the progress of the week. So what happened was I started 6-2, and then I had the 2 tilting games that I mentioned. I proceeded to go on the stream. I played on stream, and I was definitely distracted. I had a few issues happen with the stream. For some reason, Dota wasn't showing, and I allowed it to just... I just felt like I couldn't concentrate. And this seems to happen a lot when I'm streaming. It's not an excuse. Like, I know it probably sounds like that, but like I'm rationalizing to myself why. I do this so much. I feel like for whatever reason, in my head, streaming is more important than the Dota game. And that just bleeds into my Dota game because all three of these games, I just didn't play good Dota. I got the grief on my team. I feel like I might have even talked about this already, but it just wasn't good Dota. I wasn't proud of how I played. And whenever I play like not so good Dota, kind of just feels like a coin flip whether or not I'm going to win. Like it does. Like, and by coin flip, I mean I'm leaving it in the hands of the rest of the people in the game. And oftentimes it's like a loaded coin where it's more likely that I'm going to lose than I am going to win because my contribution is less than what it should be. But afterwards, I took the rest of the day, stopped playing, came back and had a really enjoyable AA support game. Oddly enough, they didn't pick heroes that killed AA, so I got to have a lot of fun with that one, and I enjoyed it a lot. Played with Cinderin. Cinderin had some wise words for me. I talked to him a little bit afterwards. He even noticed himself pretty much exactly what I'm doing wrong to cause myself to lose MMR, which is mainly just trying to do too much in the game, trying to make up for mistakes that my team makes rather than play off of them. That's consistently been a problem for me in the past, but for some reason, when I lose confidence, that's like my default, and it makes things way worse. The Lifestealer game, played with Seb, incredibly enjoyable game as well. Really good Lifestealer game, pretty much a clean win there. Learned a little bit about the off lane from Seb in that game. Seb, instead of going for like blinks on heroes like Slardar, he's going for items that allow him to farm creep waves. So like it's been nice. I feel like I'm learning more just observing my teammates. The TA game was quite a travesty. If we look at the scoreboard or the graph, we're having an absolutely free game. And I can confidently say that up until 25 minutes right here, I played perfectly. I was so happy with how I played. If I played this way every single game, I know I would win 70%, at the MMR that I'm currently at. What happens here, which I mentioned earlier when my teammates make mistakes, is that we're against Mirana, at 24 minutes. And if you look at my teammates' inventories, 24 minutes into the game against Mirana, we had 1 sentry between all 4 of my teammates. And this is an example where, normally old BSJ would just be like, why the fuck does my team not have detection? Literally throwing the game. Which, not gonna lie, it is really bad that my team has no detection. I could have also dropped my stick for detection, even though in my head as a TA, I'm like the lowest priority hero to have detection. But that's okay. Shit happens. I want you guys to see what I'm talking about as a case in point example of what I do wrong when my teammates mess up. So right here, this is the fight where I miss a bunch of meld strikes because they're all just invis, right? This is the fight that's like the disaster to end all disasters. No detection, they're all potamultied. I've missed this Enchantress like 4 times because of a potamulti. I also missed the Death Prophet. And this is a situation where it's so important to have good situational awareness and just cut our losses. Death Prophet ulti used, my team has no detection. Like level-headed, objectively speaking, strategically, just dip, just leave, right? Accept your losses, cut the losses. I feel like most of my game-losing mistakes and a lot of game-losing mistakes that I see other people make are situations like this where something has gone wrong. Hey man, your teammates are gonna mess up. Let's just be honest, your teammates are gonna mess up. Something goes wrong, and instead of, leaving, this is like literally ticket for me to leave. My Coddle's a core, so 2 of my cores are dead. My team doesn't have detection. And what do? I try to go for a kill on Mirana. He Yules himself. I try to run away. I'm slowed by Snake, and I get arrowed. And here we are, throwing the game, right? And this is a situation where, a lot of people, myself included, would always blame my teammates for having no detection. But if I just left and didn't go for that extra kill, yeah, we're going to go down to like an 8k lead, and the game's going to be a bit tougher than it was before. But we're going to get the next Roche, and most likely smoothly cruise to victory. But instead, because I die here, you see our win percentage goes from 95% to even game. And these are the type of mistakes as a carry you just can't make and win games. And it's clear that I don't only make these mistakes on stream. I lost confidence in myself 100% after that during the game. Kind of played mindlessly for the rest of the game. My team was very toxic, flaming me and blaming me. And it's like, it's understandable. I kind of ruined the game. I did ruin the game. So, but it sucked. I had to mute a few teammates, avoid them to make sure I didn't play with them in the near future. All of them telling me how garbage I am. And that's the kind of stuff where if I'm confident, I don't make these mistakes. And if I am confident and I do make these mistakes, so like if I do make the mistake, it's usually not going to be as bad And if my teammates call me out on it, I'll just mute them, right? Because I know I messed up. It's like I'm fully aware that I messed up, but I kind of found myself in denial during this game. And these are the type of games that they cost you a lot of MMR over time. Because like you look at the graphs, you're just supposed to win. I think the biggest part of MMR is winning these games 100% of the time, and when you're losing 95-5, winning the game 10% of the time. If you do that, you're definitely going to gain MMR. I feel like these are the type of games that lose you MMR massively for everybody, any bracket that you're playing in. After that, though, I think I've learned a lesson that if I have a really bad game as core, where like it just became kind of a toxic environment, I'm totally down to just pick a support I'm comfortable on. By no means do I play perfectly on support, but I put a lot less pressure on myself playing off roles. So I just pick heroes that I feel pretty confident on. My win rate on Shaman's pretty decent, and didn't play perfectly in this game by any means, but I had some crucial catches on the Tinker, on the PL as well, and you know, I felt impactful, and I wasn't tilted. I feel like what happens if I do like in this Bristleback case, I queued up and played core again, and then got really frustrated. In the Shaman game, I just didn't really have expectations. Kind of just played, and it worked itself out. I think especially if you've lost a lot of MMR recently, you're better than what your MMR is at the current moment. I think that applies to everybody. You know, if you were 4K and you just tilted like crazy down to 3K, if you were to play at your normal level, you'd win more than 50% of games. And that's like kind of the mentality that I have to have, like as anybody who's lost a bunch of MMR. Just don't do game-losing plays. And I think being in off rolls and just chilling is a really important aspect for me. So that's another update for you guys. I've gained a little bit of MMR since playing off stream. It's like 2 games worth, but definitely not only problems I'm having on stream. I feel like I'm able to manage them better off stream because I take breaks, you know, I go do something, decompress. On stream, it's definitely more difficult because I find myself binge queuing or not resetting mentally. Even if I try to take like a 5 or 10 minute break, it's definitely more difficult with a bunch of people watching. So I think I have to first learn how to manage this by myself, and then I'll be able to do it more effectively on stream. Hey guys, checking back in. I think it's like day 5 of playing mainly off stream. If you look at my game history, the 2 games I played on stream are the losses right there. The Ancient Apparition and Necrophos games. The big thing about the Necrophos game, I was like, when I played the stream, I feel like I was trying to like purposely not be negative. I feel like I was almost purposely trying to make it so the stream didn't affect me. The first game wasn't exactly pleasant. I first picked AA and then my team picked no stuns. So it wasn't exactly the most fun game, kind of just a free loss. It felt like a game that was out of my control. And instead of like in the past where I kind of rage or get really frustrated, I like tried to cope with it. So in the second game, I'm like, I'm going to pick Necro, even though my mid laner picked Lesh. And it's just like, if you have a mid and an off laner, neither of them have like a reliable stun, it kind of just makes the game hard. I ended up making like a pretty big mistake in the lane for Necro. It like happens, but I feel like it doesn't happen when I'm not streaming. I feel like it doesn't happen if I'm fully focused. So I basically accidentally took tower aggro level 2 in a 1 lane and I just died. It's not like I want to make that excuse that I'm streaming so I make this mistake, but it's like I feel external factors when I'm streaming. I can like feel that there's something there. And right now I'm kind of trying to identify it, but understanding like what I don't feel, what there is not happening during my off-stream games. I feel like off-stream I'm kind of just going with the flow. My expectations of myself are lower. I played this AA game and it was definitely not a good game. This AA game on stream, the win, or off stream, excuse me. Kind of a similar thing. My team kind of picked no synergy with AA, but I kind of just vibed. And we ended up taking a few good fights. And I'm realizing in a lot of these games, maybe I've already said this, that it really does feel like the opponent just kind of throws if I don't. I kind of just have to not throw in these pubs. I'm not going to win every game, but I feel like the most obvious trend for me off stream is that I don't make crazy throw plays. I don't necessarily play way better. I just don't make the 1 or 2 massive mistakes most often. Like, it doesn't happen nearly as often when I'm playing off stream. The Huskar game, I had a really tough lane. I was against Mars Weaver, but like I thought critically about making sure I survived in the lane, at least like getting out of a lane that wasn't ideal. And they actually went on me with Mars 6. I killed the Weaver 1v2 and then lived. And it was because I had raindrops, Helm of Iron Will, and a bunch of stats. So it's like that game, even though my lane wasn't that great, what happened was my mid laner did really well. And because I was kind of left on an island, my job in the game was to just not be useless. And I feel like I've been letting myself be useless more and more often. I had like really clear visions of things in this Huskar game. Like I died trying to get Roche, like the opponent all into me with like Mars Arena and shit. And I just like snap bot back, ran straight into the Roche pit, or like said the enemy team has nothing, let's fight them again if they come back. Got the Roche and then took over the map from there. And I feel like on stream I would hesitate with that buyback. But like off stream, I didn't even think. I literally just knew in my head I needed to take that Roche, and I knew instantly I should just buy back. I was probably dead for a quarter of a second. I bought back so quick. And I hadn't like planned to buy back. I hadn't thought like I'm going to buy back if I die. It was like a pure reactionary instinct play. And I don't make enough of these instinct plays on stream. I think I'm like worried of what chat's gonna think. And that's not chat's fault. That's not my viewers' fault. It's like at the end of the day, if I buy back, a lot of people in chat will say Keck W, you know, they'll say like rage buyback, lol. When at the end of the day, for whatever reason, I shouldn't let that affect me. But I think over time, I've not really closely monitored how that affects me, and now I let it affect me more than I would like to. So I'm definitely learning a lot about myself over the course of this week. There's really just no doubt about that. Winning more than I'm losing. It's nothing fancy though. Kind of just winning like 60% of my games. I feel like on average the games feel way easier than they did on stream. And what I mean by way easier is it's like I don't feel like I have to play as well to win. And I feel like that means that the mentality was what was making me feel like I had to play well to win. Not when I say play well, it's just like I'm really emphasizing, I feel like I just have to not mess up. Like I have to play the way I know I need to play Dota. I can always improve. I can always improve mechanics and movements and speed of decision making. But based on like the skill and knowledge I have of Dota, it's enough at the MMR I'm at to just win as long as I don't mess up. And I think a lot of us underestimate that. I've definitely had coaching students that clearly know more about the game and are better mechanically at the game than their MMR represents. And I think a lot of us, myself included, have this delusion that like it's not us, because we like I kind of know that's how it is for me, and I kind of know that's how it is for some of my students, and I think they kind of know internally. And then you kind of get in your own head, you tell yourself like I should be doing better, I could be a better player, or like I could be higher MMR. Why the fuck? Like I feel like I'm better than all these people. And at the end of the day, it's like if you are quote unquote better than the people you're playing against, and you don't actually execute it, and you don't actually play the game disciplined according to what you know, it doesn't really matter. Like if the results don't reflect your actual skill, then it just doesn't matter. That's really what I'm learning. I mean, it seems so obvious, but when I was like downtrodden and felt like these games were impossible, I really had no direction with how I thought I needed to win the game, and it really did feel like every game was an uphill climb. And none of these games feel like uphill climbs. Yeah, some of them are harder than others, but even the losses, it's kind of just like I'm much more just like chill, just playing the game and accepting it. There are a few mistakes here and there. There are games where I'm kind of lost. I'm kind of clueless on like where to be on the map. Maybe I had a really bad death that put me behind. Maybe I like built items that were planning on snowballing and then I didn't snowball, and I'm getting flustered. And in the past, I would definitely let that flusteredness like either tilt me or like zone out of the game. And I think the biggest thing I'm really emphasizing is if I don't know exactly what to do, I kind of just try to think of the best thing I could do. And sometimes the best thing I can do is like go to the dead lane, try to push the creep waves, and like try not to feed. And I've noticed in a lot of these games that like when I'm having a really bad game and I just put myself on like the dangerous part of the map in an attempt to like get a little bit of farm but not feed, but if they gank me, they have to bring like 3 heroes. Like it's important I don't solo die. It's surprisingly effective. Like often when I'm dying, my team's doing something, whether that's literally junk farming the entire map, taking a tower, killing the enemy carry. I think the biggest transition is like when I'm just useless, I just don't go to my team at all. And I know that like I feel weak, you know, instead of like feeling weak and feeling like I have to do something, like this game sucks. It's more like I'm weak. I literally can't do anything. You know, let's just, that's like advice I give my coaching students, but yet I don't do it myself consistently. So it's like kind of weird that that's how it feels. So, hey guys, it's been a bit of a while since I recorded for this video. This will be the last recording for this said video. So it's been about 2 weeks since I came back to streaming. I've been basically sitting at about the same MMR as I did when I came back. The issue I see in my games is pretty much the same thing as it was before. I'm much more aware of it, but it still needs to be worked out. And the issue I have is that I go on these really good streaks right here. You see this kind of stuff happening. And then I lose 3 games in a row. And obviously variance happens. But the issue is that it always starts with this one really bad game. We just lost all 3 lanes. I messed up my lane a bit. And in this case, my chat was rather toxic. And I let it get the best of me. You know, I take responsibility. I let that get the best of me. And when I play like this, these next 2 games, they're basically guaranteed losses. I just play, when I say guaranteed losses, probably 70% chance I lose these games when I queue into them. And it's just, I just play bad. I'm not focused. I'm not really thinking about like what matters in the game. I'm not really like enjoying it. I'm kind of just going through the motions. I find myself losing track of like what's going on in the game a lot in these games. I do the BSJ TP, you know, where it's like, I'm just farming with a Battle Fury on Monkey King and I just TP into a 5-on-5. But yeah, the biggest thing about this whole process for me so far, it's not over by any stretch, has been the awareness factor. A lot of these issues I'm much more prone to having when I'm streaming. That's kind of just the nature of the beast in this case. I think we all play Dota in a way that's something mental blocker wise prevents us from playing optimally. Since I actually started this process, you know, it's been about 2 weeks. I've done a few coaching sessions and a lot of them have turned into some sort of counseling session, or therapy. And there's nothing really wrong with that. What I'm saying about that is that I know in my games that it's not like a lack of skill or lack of knowledge that's causing me to lose. And I think the biggest thing about this whole thing has been the recognition of how important it is to be in tune and aware of why you're losing. At the end of the day, if you lose a lot of MMR, anyone out there, it is you. You're the only common factor. I always like to repeat that. There's some variance in the game. Sometimes your teammates are going to make the game unwinnable, such as life. Sometimes your draft just sucks. But the most important question I've asked myself after every game is, what did I do wrong? It seems really obvious. A lot of people I've seen, like on professional players on interviews, say this kind of thing, but it's never really resonated with me as much as it does now. Because any day, like yesterday, where after the games, I was just frustrated, games are bad. I noticed that games like that, my teammates tend to be more toxic. And so what that tells me is if I'm noticing during those bad games that my teammates are more toxic, that it's probably me causing the toxicity. Like I'm either just playing like an idiot or whatever I'm doing, there's some intangible that my teammates can sense that they just become more toxic towards me. It's definitely not a coincidence. But that awareness is what matters. All the days that I don't find myself asking, what did I do wrong? All I thought about was like the toxic interactions with my teammates or what made that game so hard. I feel like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Every time all I do is think about the game being hard, the game is really hard. But if I just think about what I can do better, you'd be amazed how often I just kind of win. And you'd be surprised how often that'll work for you. Not panicking. Sometimes your teammates are going to feed. Sometimes you're going to feed. But going for the next best play, thinking about the next best thing for you is really the goal, is what I've realized. And anytime I find myself, and maybe when you find yourself thinking about anything other than what you could have done better and how you could have maybe managed that better, sometimes there's no answer, meaning sometimes you played it optimally and, you know, you landed that Chronosphere and the Invoker just didn't cast any spells. Sometimes that's what's going to happen. But most of the time, there's something small you could have done better. And that doesn't necessarily imply that you're taking like responsibility or blame. There's no requirement to like blame somebody in a game of Dota. It doesn't have to be somebody's fault that you lost. It's like you shouldn't be blaming yourself for losses or solo crediting yourself for wins. It's like, did you play really well? Did you have things you could have done better? That's all that really matters. If on average you are playing well, you will win more than 50% of games. That's just kind of how it is. I don't really know how much you guys like this content. It's more of like a documentary than anything. But let me know in the comments. Maybe we can do more in the future. Thanks for watching, guys.